Hi everybody! Today I'm going to do an exercise that I really like to do a lot. Sometimes I'll tape off sections, so I'll put a big piece of masking tape vertically, splitting it into half, and then horizontally splitting it in half again, so I have four quadrants. This time I just kept it one big sheet of paper, but I will be cutting it up in part two. So all I'm doing right now is trying to fill up the paper with paint. I'm using a credit card. It's actually a gift card to spread this paint around. I'm just trying to not think, just move my body and move the paint around and have fun. I use some crayons, spraying some water, drying it up. I'm using some transparent paint here. I'm using Indian yellow, quinacridone magenta, or quinacridone red. I think both of them actually. Some more crayons. And now I'm using my cake frosting spatula to quiet it down. I've really been trying to figure out how to quiet my work down in a way that still feels like me. It's very hard for me to cover up things that I like, and I typically find lots of things that I get attached to. So my current focus is figuring out how to cover up and quiet things down, but still keep it interesting for me. Scraping some paint away with a palette knife. I have, for the sake of time, not having this be a tremendously long video, I have edited out some of my hair drying. Once I put that white paint down after I stopped carving things into it and scraping it away, I did dry it with my hair dryer for a while because the paint was put on pretty thick. If you don't want your colors to blend together, definitely dry it in between. You can use a heat gun. I use my hair dryer. That's a paint guide you can get in any hardware store, any painting store. Sometimes it's nice to use to make crisp edges without using masking tape. Alright, so after I've gotten a whole bunch of paint on the paper and made some interesting marks, now I'm adding some collage. Often I'll start a painting with collage just because it gives me something to work from. This time I decided just to let loose and spread a bunch of paint around first. Again, no wrong way to do it. That black piece I just put on with the tissue paper, I used some masking papers to keep some areas open on the tissue paper so that you can see through it. I have a how to make collage papers video, also a couple of different videos. If you're interested, you can check those out. I got too busy, so I'm trying to quiet it down a bit again. Using masking tape to section off a small rectangle here. Some transparent paint to do a glaze. Basically you wipe the paint on and then wipe it off right away. Some of it's always left behind. If you have different color schemes going on, you can always put a glaze over a painting and unify things. In this case, it just felt too white. Now I'm using a different color to glaze. This stayed a little bit more yellow than I had intended, but I still like the effect. Gotta make sure you position your paper the way that you want it. I was lucky that it didn't tear when I took it off. If you're collaging a large piece of paper, which I would consider this one right here a large piece of paper, I think that was a 12 by 12, you really need to make sure that you get enough medium on so that you don't have any air bubbles and that everything's pressed down flat. Use a credit card to smooth it out, palette knives. I used a catalyst wedge. I like the effect this page had, but I wanted it to be more opaque, so I'm just adding another layer of white paint over the white collage paper. So I'm almost done now with the first iteration of this page. I'm about to cut it up into 4 separate quadrants. There'll be 4 9 by 12 pieces of paper. And then I'll be working toward more layers on each piece as a separate piece. Until I cut it up, I've been using this as one painting. So please come back and check out part 2, and you can see what the 4 paintings look like and how they progress.